Hey guys, I'm Piper Reese, and this is tentatively called Z-Talk. Now called The Bottom Line. We will be covering important issues going on right now. I want to put the note out there that this is not a gossip show, and we will be covering important issues that we want you guys to hear about and we want to talk about. So today we're going to be covering the Whoopi Goldberg-Bella Thorne issue. Basically what happened is Bella posted nudes due to the fact that a hacker threatened to post them himself. In order to take the power from the person, she posted them herself, and Whoopi commented on it. Bella Thorne is now currently upset about what Whoopi Goldberg said, so that's what we're going to start by discussing. I also think this leads to a bigger issue of what women can put out there of their bodies now and how much of that is in our control. This is Jaren and Natalie, and welcome to our show. So let's start by listening to what Whoopi Goldberg said on the issue. Her quote is, "If you're famous, I don't care how old you are, you don't take nude pictures of yourself, because..." Here she was interrupted, which may have led to a different response than she may have begun with. "Listen, when they're hacking you, they're hacking all of your stuff, whether it's one picture or a million pictures." So what do you guys think?
I don't... I think it's a little bit distasteful. I think given the context of how this is a young woman sending a private photo of herself and then getting hacked and exploited for money, like, if your option is... She's already put in a, essentially hostage situation with her private information, and she took a stand against that. You can't blame someone for expressing and living their life in intimacy just because they were that person. Just because they got hacked. You can't live your life in fear.
What's interesting to me with this quote is Whoopi does go on towards the end, which is just a small segment where she says that you can't be surprised that someone hacked your phone, which I think is true in this day and age, and I respect Bella Thorne. We have talked many times. I think she has a strong fight here, which we'll get to in a minute with the quotes, but I do think that Whoopi isn't trying to attack Bella. I think she's just trying to say that you can't be surprised if someone hacks your phone in this day and age.
I think that the original fact that Bella Thorne had was put in such a difficult position of, like you said, like hostage situation, I think that however she chose to handle it should have been her own business.
That's true.
And Whoopi Goldberg shouldn't have made such a big deal about it. Or if she felt she had to, she should have made it more kind of generalized and not focused it specifically on Bella Thorne. Because Bella Thorne is not, the issue here is not that Bella Thorne leaked her nudes. The issue is that someone hacked her phone and was holding her hostage with her nudes. She chose to do what she thought was right, which was to release them herself. But then Whoopi Goldberg attacked her for her choice when it's not really about Bella Thorne herself. It's about the hacker. It's about the problem that happened.
I think what Whoopi Goldberg is trying to say is she's not trying to attack Bella on releasing the nudes herself. I don't think she even covers that much, which is interesting. I think she's trying to say that you can't be surprised when someone does hack your phone. Although I think Bella Thorne was put in a difficult situation here and did what she had to do.
Yeah, I also, there comes to a point where the intent of your message loses some of the weight behind it if the effect is hurting more people than it's giving. Whoopi Goldberg has a very large following. This is a very popular show. She's a very respected person in the industry, and to shame a lot of young girls for something that, honestly, I think she's too old to really understand. Because I get it. At the time she grew up, that is a scandalous idea. You take a nude photo of yourself, oh, you're that type of woman that would, or whatever. But to try to, because I don't think it is, because honestly, her rationalization of it would be to never do something out of the fear that you could. Would you not get on an airplane out of fear of crashing? Like, you can't live like that. She's living her life. It just seems more to the same extent of any sort of victim blaming or any type like that. It's a systematic issue you see, and I think it's just because she doesn't get it.
Right,
honestly.
And I think the real issue here has to be, how are we supposed to handle this concept of, can our phones be hacked? Like, are we not supposed to be able to put our personal stuff on our phones now because these hacks are happening? And to young girls, hearing that, I think it does make them uncomfortable about their body and stuff like that. So let's check out what Bella Thorne said in the quote. Bella responded by saying, "Watching this interview made me feel really bad about myself. I don't really want you guys talking about your views to young girls because I would not want my daughter to learn that, and I would never say that to her. Shame on you, Whoopi, for putting that public opinion just out there like that for every young girl to think that they're disgusting for even taking a photo like that. Shame on you. Saying if you take a sexy photo, then it basically deserves to get leaked. Like, don't be surprised at all and don't feel sorry for yourself." So I think that's an interesting quote because Bella got really upset about this. I think Bella has a strong point. I think what Whoopi Goldberg's saying isn't to the extent that Bella Thorne's responding a little bit, and I think that because Bella was crying in the clip and stuff like that, her fans are going to go more after Whoopi than they would even though it's between Bella and Whoopi. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think Bella Thorne is definitely valid in being upset. I think that's totally fair because, I mean, Whoopi Goldberg went on, like, national
Right.
National television and said, you know, and, like, basically said, like, you deserved it. Like, you deserved what happened to you. But at the same time, I think Bella Thorne's response is she's creating an issue she does not have to create. I think that everything could have stayed very neutral because at the same time, Whoopi Goldberg is clearly not, even though she's saying Bella Thorne's name, which is it's unnecessary to, like, specifically make fun of one person. I think that it's more about, like, you know, you guys were both saying, like, it's more about the general, like, should girls be taking these pictures?
Right.
And then Bella Thorne took it completely to heart, only to herself, which could, you know, which I think she hurt herself a little more than necessary.
I do want to point out that before this, Whoopi Goldberg did say that there's a problem with things being connected to the cloud. So I don't know if she's concerned about us taking nude pictures or if she's just worried about it being linked to the cloud and someone hacking it. Because she's saying if you're famous, you can't do that because someone's going to hack your phone. She's not saying don't take nude pictures because that's inappropriate. So that's where I kind of disagree with the older person argument a little bit, just because I'm wondering if Whoopi's just trying to make a point of don't post this if you're worried about getting hacked, and Bella is using this to create a great argument, and I don't know if she's totally interpreting what Whoopi Goldberg is saying completely the way she meant it.
Yeah, but that's what I think is kind of the issue. This feels like a very robotic and, you know, very factual and a little dispassionate conversation about a matter that honestly, and I get it's the purpose of their show, but it's not the first time that maybe a matter's been exploited to a point where maybe Bella Thorne isn't reacting exactly how she should react, but this is a young child celebrity who has been in fame and spotlight all her life. Every single thing she does, she's not, you know, Oscar winning. She's a publicity, she is a very, you know, culturally aware person that people look up to and follow to, and she's young and she has a lot of influence.
Yeah.
And you could imagine something like this really gets to her and she's going through something. So I could, of course, she'd be upset and feel like she'd want to make sure no one else would feel that way. I don't really think that it goes in a whole thing where stuff like this shouldn't even be brought up on a talk show nationally. Honestly, this is the type of thing that is
because it
tabloid.
becomes gossip.
Yes, this is the type of thing that if never got brought up, you know, and we even say you don't want to make this into a gossip show. And ironically, we're having a conversation that isn't like that, but this whole thing became just based off of it. It was some older lady's opinion on some girl's leaked nudes.
But that's kind of what made this a gossip type thing. But what I want to say with this is I think Bella Thorne is starting a good argument. I don't think it needs to be against Whoopi Goldberg, but I do want to talk about what some of her friends said pertaining to female image and stuff like that.
Okay.
Well,
because I think that's important.
Can I say something really quick on this, though? I think that the way that she got, like, as upset as she got, she could have handled it in a different way, where, because the same way that Whoopi Goldberg kind of latched on to Bella Thorne as a way to express her point, I think that Bella Thorne did not need to, like, attack Whoopi Goldberg herself to make her point. I think she could have said, I feel like girls should be able to do what they want to do. Because I don't think anyone really here, except for the hacker, did something expressly wrong.
Right.
You know, everyone's kind of just sharing their opinions and then people are getting hurt by them. So I think the problem in the beginning was kind of like, was targeting specific people. It's like, Whoopi Goldberg did not need to target Bella Thorne. If they wanted to talk about, like, leaking nudes and, like, putting your nudes in the cloud because it was happening in the Times because of Bella Thorne, they did not need to talk about specifically Bella Thorne because it's been happening with lots of celebrities.
It almost seems like it almost seems like, to be fair, I get why Bella Thorne is taking it as a personal offense. Like, imagine if someone you know personally did this, because this is something that's been going back to Jennifer Lawrence.
Actually, we have a quote about
famous
that.
iCloud leaks. You know, this seems a little more directed at a star with maybe not as much respect by older people in an industry. Maybe they don't really understand her, and I think
Right.
they're just kind of being
And that's
like,
kind of what Bella
harsher
said on
you
her
know?
Instagram is she did talk about this has happened to other stars, and she does talk about that kind of stuff, and she did also mention like this has happened several other times. So it is an important issue. I do think that talking about who's wrong and who's right and who's causing problems and who's not is important. I don't think that people need to be pinpointed the way they were on that show, but that is what they do, which is kind of upsetting. Because the problem is they're creating this gossip because what happens is these fans latch on to the people that they're watching. Like there's so many fans that Bella has that are like gonna try and destroy everyone who's not nice to her. But the problem isn't the actors themselves or the people themselves because they're just sharing their opinion. It's the group of fans that then attacks the other.
Yes, and unfortunately, if you want to get pessimistic with it, they know this. Using fans and using rivalry and using conflict to boost your searchability and to boost your trendability is something that's been going on for a long time. Because that's IP. People are IP in Hollywood. What they can put your name on a poster or sell a movie on to make profits that's what it is. And if you want to get I don't think this is the case with something this personal, but this is, if you talk about that in general, there will be times where people have an option of, well, I've been wronged like this, I could just take the quiet, easy way out, or if I've been wronged, maybe I could try to get something out of this. And I think for Bella, it's probably sending a message to everybody else, but also The View gets, that whole purpose of that show is to pick trendy topics, say controversial things with a host of people with different opinions, and start some headlines. This is a case of them just doing what they do.
That's true.
And it's unfortunate,
yeah, that's true.
But that's exactly
what
it is.
But it's disappointing because I feel like Whoopi Goldberg is really respected, and she is older, and she has gained that respect, but then she's involved in this gossip, which
that's
makes her
why
a little
I
less
think she's a little more in the wrong in this situation. Because, she shouldn't be gossiping.
She knows how heavy her opinion is. She knows how much weight that her word will carry. Like, she knows that if she says something like that, it will get the response that it was going to get from Bella Thorne. Right. And she doesn't seem to care that her words are hurting Bella Thorne as much as they are. Not that she should have known that she has a way bigger effect than any of the other women on, not that they don't have all the same effect.
I don't even know their names.
Yeah, I don't know their names either, actually. I only know Whoopi Goldberg's, but I just know that Whoopi Goldberg saying that is a lot different than seeing a headline saying, like, a headliner from The View says, like, Whoopi Goldberg, and then also Whoopi Goldberg and Bella Thorne together, like, that headline together, like, they just kind of seem to talk without thinking of what the consequences are of the things they're saying.
And maybe they had to discuss Bella Thorne's specific situation on The View because this has happened with other actors a little bit differently. And what Meghan McCain said was interesting because she talked about the fact that she wanted to post nudes or send nudes to whoever she was with, but she couldn't because her family was in politics and she knows what happens. So that is the only thing that makes me think that the discussion was more towards don't have the nudes on the cloud than don't have the nudes at all.
I think that the conversation was definitely broad. They definitely were keeping it broad, but the fact that this did just happen with Bella Thorne and then they brought up Bella Thorne, like the conversation started with them talking about Bella Thorne and then it switched over to like the political aspect.
I didn't like that the way it started was kind of derogatory, like the way that it was first introduced.
If they started talking about it as in, so, we're talking today about, how careful you have to be with private pictures of yourself, especially when you are someone in the spotlight, because you are even more susceptible to being hacked and to someone taking your private pictures or text or videos or calls or whatever and holding them against you. And then also, and this unfortunately happened to Bella Thorne, but they started it off talking about how Bella Thorne was wrong and Bella Thorne was the one who messed up and she should have known better.
I definitely think it's also, you're right, I mean, there is no doubt that as a celebrity or anyone in any position of power, as she knows, because she was just in politics, it's not just for a celebrity, it's an unfortunate thing with anyone. People are going to want to find that type of dirt. So yes, of course Bella Thorne could have known, but at the same time, you can't, she's younger, and it wasn't going to live in fear of that, and I don't think that's wrong to blame her for it. And she's always been very open and fluid with her sexuality, and she has a lot of fans who really respect that. Yeah. And I think her posting these photos, because that's what seems to, tick everyone off, is that when Jennifer Lawrence, even though she would later admit in an interview, I didn't really care, she still sued. You know, she still apologized for whatever reason. Like, it was... But Bella Thorne didn't choose to do that, and now look at where they're able to go with it, you know? Because, yeah, if you are in that position, you're right, it is something you have to worry about. She just chose not to let her run her life.
Right, which I think is a smart decision. I think that's important because this is going to happen. But the thing is, I don't think I know anyone who doesn't have a photo on their phone, whether it's a nude or not, that they wouldn't want online. I mean, I know I have a picture blowing bubblegum in the car, and it just looks awful. And, like, there's certain things that we wouldn't want online, whether they're nudes or not. And I think our privacy should be our privacy. But when it's released, like, we also got to realize that it's going to be released like that. And that's where I kind of agree with Whoopi in saying that we need to understand that it can be hacked. I do want to talk about where she's specifically wrong. Because I do think she's right in saying, Whoopi Goldberg, I do think she's right in saying that we need to be aware that our phones can be hacked.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't think she preached awareness. I would have wished she did. I honestly think this is something where, if anything, if they came at it to Bella Thorne from a way of, oh, hey, like, I think that maybe you need to be more aware of what's going on around you. We've been doing it longer. The person who didn't do it because she was in politics, she's older. You know, her father is John McCain. She's going to have a little more experience on how to not be exposed like this.
That's true.
And I think if you are actually sympathetic, and if you actually believe these things, there's just a genuine respect that I think comes with a topic this sensitive that you would bring to more topical political issues,
think it should
but
be
you
a
won't
little
bring
more
it to someone's
sensitive.
personal business.
But
I just
also,
think that's interesting.
The thing is that Meghan McCain, like, with politics, it is like, you cannot take those pictures. You cannot risk whoever's campaign is being run. You cannot risk, like, causing an issue by doing that. Like, for a social media star, someone who is on Disney shows and is now known for how provocative she posts, how provocative her posts are, it's a lot different. I think that the standards are way different. Like, the way that she got upset after, and she posted Whoopi Goldberg how, like, I'm so upset, you know, like, I feel I'm really hurt by this.
Yeah, and she said she respected her. That's the thing.
And Meghan McCain, like, just the standards are so unbelievably different that for her to say that on the show, I think that it, in a way, invalidates Bella Thorne a little bit, because it's like, I'm a politician. I was in politics, so I knew I could never do that. It's like, well, Bella Thorne,
she doesn't have the training like
she doesn't have the training. She doesn't have the same, like, level of decorum. She's not the same.
To be, like, perfect and
her image is not her image. Like,
her image is herself.
Her image is herself, and she posts a lot of provocative things. Not that that's, like, no one should ever be stealing her nudes because of that at all. It's just that once you post things like that, it's like someone who's a politician's daughter would never post the same thing.
Right.
So for her to be like, well, I would never do that. It's like, well, you are not. You're not.
Very different
Is this
situation.
getting too indescript in the exact details of the interview? Because I feel like everything is completely right, but also if this is a conversation about the larger context of having your
we do need to
information
get into
online, I think that, because a lot of this, and honestly the reason why it frustrates me that this became a thing, was that a lot of this comes down to exactly what you guys have said, and at the end of the day what we said earlier, which is just two people giving opinions on stuff that really shouldn't be their business in the first place.
Right, so I want to talk about the bigger issue that actually does affect us. Which I think starts with what we should be able to feel comfortable with. Because the thing is it wrong for us to be taking pictures of ourselves and stuff like that if it makes us feel better? Like, if it makes us feel good about ourselves, whether we're posting them or not? Is it wrong for us to even have those on our phone in the first place? Because I don't think it's wrong to have it on your phone, but I think that there is a huge possibility that it can be hacked, especially if you have any spotlight on you.
Right. I think that also one of the things that adds to that problem is social media and the pressure that you see from other people's posts. You know, people posting, like, bikini pictures, or people posting, like, in crop tops. You know, and then you're like, oh, I want to look the same way. Like, I want to
show what they're showing.
Yeah, and then like, just the peer pressure that comes from social media and the way that a lot of famous people portray themselves on social media, and they're like, well, if Kim K's doing it, I'm going to do it too. Not that it's a problem.
The ones who set the bar are setting the bar for us to show everything online.
Unrealistic behavior.
Even if we're not comfortable with
unrealistic.
Yeah, which, you know, it's not, that's how comfortable they are. So it's like, you know, go Kim Kardashian for feeling that comfortable in her own body. It's just when a 13-year-old sees that and then sees Bella Thorne's and then wants to take some pictures, like then she's causing a problem for herself. She doesn't even realize because she doesn't know about the cloud. She doesn't know about
the hack and stuff like that.
So I think social media and the cloud and just like the modern age of technology is really the actual heart of the problem.
If you're taking like a picture of yourself in like an Instagram DM to someone, or if you're taking a picture of yourself in like a Snapchat, it's going to be a lot different than when you're taking a picture and it's going to the cloud. Yeah. And I don't think younger kids know that yet, so it could become a huge problem later.
The problem with Snapchat, I think, is that sometimes even if you save the pictures like in your phone, like even if you save them like, oh, like they're still mine, Snapchat still owns the pictures. Snapchat still has the pictures like in their database, even though it's only on your account, not on like your account or your account. They're only on my account. It's like it could still like, you know, like the data things that you have to sign now, like no one ever reads all the terms and conditions, so it's just that everything.
A little bit hyper paranoid about Snapchat's model, because I mean, yeah, Facebook isn't selling it to hackers who are going to release it. They're selling your data to companies so they know the best advertisements to give you. Snapchat may do similar stuff, but they're not going to wake up one day and decide all your personal photos, I'll post them.
Well, I did read something Snapchat put up saying that they keep your photos for 30 days, I think. Like, you know,
they technically keep them for all time, and if police want to issue a warrant, recently they've been doing it. It's called like cyber strip searching, and they'll go through everything you've ever posted. They have a legal right to, and that's the reason Snapchat keeps it. But they're not gonna post your nudes. That is an almost that is illegal, especially on probably many levels. And it just is improbable.
The problem is, can someone hack it?
Yeah, the problem is not that Snapchat is going to post your pictures. The problem is because Snapchat keeps them, someone can hack that. Basically, the problem is that there are more places that they're available than just you. Like, you think it's only on your phone and only you can see it if you put in a specific password, when in reality, anyone who can get into the Snapchat server or something can get your picture.
You don't even need to not save them.
Yeah. No. Yes, probably. That's just because it's been done for longer. You know, like that was the famous leak back in like 2013 with like 100 celebrities or something.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, anytime you even hit that photo button, even if you want to get even worse with it, your camera's always on. Yeah. You know, like it's so. I don't think any of us here are really going to understand the complexities that it probably goes to. And I think this is why Bella Thorne said, F it, I'm going to live my life as a legal adult with my loving boyfriend and not live in fear of the million things that, honestly, none of us are going to be able to control.
Her ex-girlfriend just got engaged.
Tinamangu? Isn't that like fake to Jake Paul? That's a whole other thing.
Skipping the gossip part.
It's so not real. They fake marriages all the time. It was literally just proven.
This is she was so upset.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That's why I was reading stuff about it, and because it was literally just a couple days ago. Yes. So it added to I think it added to why she was like crying in her videos and all that stuff. Because her and Jake Paul and Tanamangu, whatever, you know, of course I don't actually know the truth. It's all media, whatever they say. But what I've seen is like Bella Thorne's comments, and then Tanamangu's comments, and I don't know anything about any of them really, but just the fact that all this happened, and then for her ex to get engaged, it seems like it could have added to why she was so upset about something that maybe she could have taken a different way.
Right.
Yeah, I actually have something to say on that, because that's really like, because you look at that type of thing where bad publicity and big stunts are exactly what is getting the trending. Jake Paul and Tanamangu, that is, I literally just read an article.
And part of that's YouTube, part of that's short-form media, it's causing huge problems.
It's social media, YouTube, Instagram, and I'm not even saying these are bad things, because they're popular things, and technically consumer vote is what's right. You know, if these things are popular, then they deserve to make it. But at the same time, no, it's the same way reality TV shows been faked.
But people think these things are real. Well, like the explosions, the big stuff that's done, like, stupid things that aren't realistic.
Some of it's real. Like, you know, the Jake Paul suicide forest controversy was real, and some of that, Logan Paul, sorry. But, like, some of that stuff's real. But the same way reality TV show is real TV, you know, but everyone knows that is scripted with major beats. Yeah. The same way their stuff is, too. Yeah. You know, and when Bella Thorne is getting herself involved in this, which you can't even blame her for that, really, because there's probably a bigger cycle with agents and stuff. But the fact that these celebrities and these people are losing credibility as people in personal events like this because they're forced to stay relevant by doing dramatic and lying to stay, you know, and I think she's a victim of a cycle that Whoopi Goldberg and these other people are too wise and too old and too respected that they obviously know this is an issue. So to shame her and make her feel bad about it, that's where I get my
And
main
you know,
issue
with
from
the
this on
bigger
it,
with the
you
bigger
know?
stunts and stuff, we even have trouble with that on here because we stay all positive and we stay real and realistic. And honestly, like if we were doing the big crazy stuff, we'd probably do better. But it's not about that for us.
You
Like
could
it's
have
about
flashy,
being real
you know.
and still having credibility as a person, like you said. So Entertainment Tonight made a big deal of this and made Whoopi Goldberg look worse than she actually did by saying that Whoopi Goldberg had said that Bella Thorne posting the nudes was the problem, which she didn't say at all on The View, and they didn't even talk about that, so I'm curious what you guys think about her posting them herself.
Just on that, because that whole, like, framing Whoopi Goldberg to be a villain thing,
Yeah.
that just kind of goes into what we said earlier about it is that cycle,
Yeah.
you know, and it is that because they know that you got to frame a hero and a villain to make the drama,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
and so they're profiting off of that.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I have to say. I want to know what you think about her posting that, because you'd be more positioned than I would to have experienced that.
Well, I feel like a man and a woman can both actually have the same.
Yeah,
I
but
agree.
men aren't targeted the same ways by leaks as much as women are.
That's true.
So
That's
I
true.
don't really think.
Well, I think that Bella Thorne handled it in the best way that she thought was the best way to handle it. I honestly do not know what I would do in that situation like that.
I think I would do the same thing in that situation, honestly.
In the moment, that was the best way to handle it because he was not listening to her, and she was like, whatever, I'm going to show them myself. Personally, I don't even know where she released them to or like anything like
Twitter,
that.
I
Like
think
Twitter.
it was.
But it also doesn't hurt her brand to release those, I think, because of what she already posts. I think it strengthens her brand. It strengthens who she is and what she represents herself as. And I think that's important, too, is like this was not a bad move for her because it
Right.
wouldn't hurt her brand.
She didn't keep it quiet.
And someone, like, if this was a Taylor Swift situation, it might not work that way.
Right.
Like, it might not be good for her. I don't have anything like that on my phone, so I can't relate to it to a super extent, but I can't really see myself doing anything differently.
Right. I mean, me neither, because I don't see. I think maybe more legal action could have been taken, but at the same time, like, you wouldn't want to risk causing an issue and then the guy releasing the pictures. Because she was okay with releasing them herself, maybe she could have taken more legal action after she released them herself.
That's true.
Or maybe, like, even just trying harder to get the guy to stop, because not only was he threatening to post those pictures, but just the power that he had over her
Yeah, I don't think
was
it's
the...
fair to blame her for that. Sorry, I don't like.
I'm not blaming her at all.
Oh no, I'm saying like that she should have like pursued more legal action or like.
I'm not saying she should have done anything. I'm saying if I was in her position, she did what she thought was best, and that's why I'm saying I don't know what I would do differently. I'm not saying it's her fault at all. There's no blame to put on her. Literally, I think at all that she did what she thought was right. What I'm saying legal action can be taken for is I'm saying to stop him because he was so like childish and like I'm gonna do this like haha respond.
It might have been too late.
Well, right. Well, what I'm
lot
saying
of
is
the time it's
because
anonymous,
she was so comfortable in the end with posting them herself. That's why I'm thinking maybe for other people to just think like if you're comfortable posting them yourself, like if that's the only way this is gonna end, I'm gonna post them myself. Then maybe do that and then try harder to get the guy to go behind bars. I'm not saying she should have at all. I'm literally just saying.
But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Because I
It
would,
just
it's
sounds
like if someone
I would
someone
want
who
him
did
behind
that to
bars,
you,
yeah.
I'd be so mad at them. I'd be so like, how dare you treat me this way? You don't even know me, you know.
Yeah,
so
of
then
course.
try to
we
like.
don't know about that. We have no clue about the legal situation or any of the stuff. going
Right.
on
That's
behind
why
the
I'm
scenes,
saying
so.
that's literally. She said, "What would you do in the situation?" That's what I would do.
Okay, I do want to talk about some of the things her friends are saying because they're backing Bella up on the argument, obviously, because they're her friends, and they agree, and it's an important thing what Bella is saying about women empowerment and your own body and stuff like that, but I don't know that it's actually an argument against exactly what Whoopi said, still. I still feel that way about this, but I do think her friends have good points as well. So Lucy Hale said, "Good for you, baby girl. I'm so proud of you for speaking up. This breaks my heart, but you're really making a difference for other girls and women." Lily Rose Depp said, "You're absolutely right, and anyone who's saying otherwise is just wrong, living in another century and clearly unconcerned by what repercussions words like that might have as it relates to young people and how they view their sexualities and bodies." And then Bella responded to that again by saying, "We talked a lot about this generation, the one before us as well, and how as women we shouldn't feel bad about ourselves and our bodies. Slut shaming is one of the biggest topics of this generation, but yet we still keep it going somehow. It's really, really sad. Blaming girls for taking photos in the first place is sick and honestly disgusting. Your view on this matter is honestly awful, and I hope you change your mindset as you are on a talk show talking to younger girls. That's in reference to what her friend said, and then back at Whoopi Goldberg a little bit. I do feel like they have a good argument. The slut shaming not happening is extremely important. I don't know that that's what Whoopi Goldberg was doing.
As focused as her argument was on Bella Thorne in the beginning, I don't think that she was like I think we talked about this a little bit. Like, she was not saying, do not take those photos, do not post those photos, that is disgusting. She was more so just saying, like, if you are famous and if you know that you have the risk of being hacked, don't put pictures like that into the cloud because then they are so much more easily hackable.
It seems like Whoopi Goldberg is more questioning Bella's intelligence than her inappropriateness.
I mean, some of this sounds like semantics.
Yeah,
like from what you were just saying, the thing that really caught my attention on that, just personally, from an outside perspective, is the girls who came forward. Lily Rose Depp, Johnny Depp's daughter, another since she was very young, famous girl, thrust in the spotlight all her life. You know, these are voices of the women actually who are most likely. No disrespect to Whoopi Goldberg. It seems she wouldn't even take the photos in the first place. But it's not like that headline would be the people that they're targeting. They're targeting these girls who seem to have very passionate opinions about it. So I think their opinions, when they're going through that, I feel like that just matters a little more.
Right.
So I feel like that, listening to them, and I think if there's anything to take away, it's that maybe the semantics of what Whoopi said didn't matter because Whoopi started a conversation, and now everyone's having this conversation.
Right.
I think it goes a little deeper now where these girls are not just talking just about Whoopi, but about all the other tweets they're probably getting from people
Bella's
who agree
kind of
and took
bringing
it
it
further
back
than
to Whoopi, but I don't think...
That's a figurehead to keep people rallied.
I think Whoopi kind of started this conversation in a way, but the argument is much bigger than that. Okay, I do feel like we covered the majority of different perspectives here on the main part, but I do want to kind of leave off on talking about some of the more important issues that were brought up by this whole argument and stuff like that. So I do want to get your opinion on whether you think it's right to be taking the pictures on your phones in the first place, and whether you think it's okay to send to someone, and what you think is wrong here. Like, who is in the wrong here, basically, is what I'm trying to get at.
Well, I think part of the problem with today's society and social media is actually, like, there's always somebody wrong. I think, like, really, I don't think necessarily anybody was in the wrong or anybody was in the right. I think people are just living their lives, and social media and the media's influence and the power that it seems that the hacker had, and that even Whoopi Goldberg had, like, you know, just of being
That she had that
so
much power
popular.
over. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only I don't think anyone was in the wrong. I just think everybody could have handled it differently for Bella Thorne to not have to get so upset. Yeah. And I think, on my opinion on whether people should take those pictures or not, I think that you just have to live life and not be afraid of people stealing your pictures and, like, people doing things, but also only do things that you're comfortable with. If you are as someone who is as popular as Bella Thorne and you know that it is a risk that you can be hacked, I would say maybe just do a little more, like, protection before you send them. Like,
And
maybe,
think about it.
Think about it a little more before you send them.
Just make sure you're comfortable.
Yeah, just make sure you're sending them to someone that you can trust. But about taking them, personally, I'm sorry, I didn't know how to finish that. Personally, I think that taking pictures like that and sending pictures like that, I think that there are other things you can do so that your private pictures and your private, like, information doesn't have to be so vulnerable, maybe to the cloud. Like, maybe use Snapchat instead because it's so much less likely, or just find a way around it going to the cloud if you feel like you really want to send those pictures.
Yeah. Right. I mean, I feel like the other thing, you brought up something interesting earlier about how the pictures on social media make us want to take those pictures now, and I think it's important to also say, don't take the pictures if you don't want to take the pictures. Make sure you're taking them for you. You're not taking them because of pressure, whether it's online or someone you're into pressuring you. Don't take it unless it's for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, of course. And I think especially, you know, what you said about, like, finding, you know, other ways and being very aware of it. But, you know, I have a hard time condemning someone for, you know, just what they've done. And I don't like the whole, like, oh, who's in the wrong, who's in the right. Like anything you do in life, you should not live your life in fear, but you should live your life aware of the consequences.
Right.
And I think you just have to be alert that, yeah, you're living, but if you're a prominent figure, this is something that could happen, and you should sit with yourself and be like, am I okay with that? Am I okay with this as a possibility? And if you are, then go for it, you know? I'm not saying you want to have it happen, or you would deserve in any way for it to happen, but as you would do anything when you get into a car, there's a risk of, there are just certain things you do that just have implied potential consequences.
Right.
I think being aware of that's important, but I don't think it makes anyone the wrong for taking that.
Right. Well, also with the no right and wrong thing, it's interesting because if you have a conversation with someone where you disagree when you're not in the spotlight, each person is somewhat wrong and somewhat right. There's never like one side that's completely right and one side that's completely wrong most of the time. But when it's celebrities, they do put this person is wrong, this person is right. Like they emphasize that.
I think the media is people that do that. The media and like Daily Mail kind of like information platforms, like where people, you know, on Snapchat, they especially things that are not huge, you know, like places like the New York Times, they don't need that stuff because their readers are reading it because they want the truth, they want the facts, they want like the politics, they want to know what's happening in the world. Whereas with things like you know, like Tana Mongeau and Jake Paul or Logan, whichever one, you know, and like Bella Thorne and stuff like this, it's a one sentence quick headline that captures your attention enough for you to click on it.
Right.
And
clickbait.
By saying clickbait.
Definition.
Like, so by saying like, you know, oh, Bella Thorne is sad, no one's gonna click on that. But if it says Whoopi Goldberg attacks Bella Thorne, you're gonna be like, what? What happened there? And click on that, you know. So click, like, just the pressure that the media has for clickbait, like that is just as strong.
Well, that's a big thing even with YouTube videos. Is like you have to make sure it's not clickbait, but you have to make sure it's something people will check on, and that causes a lot of problems now too.
Yeah, the YouTube algorithm is a whole other insane.
That'll be a topic for
beast.
another time.
Yeah.
So we should wrap this up here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, this is Natalie Ball, and this is Jaren Rogers, and I am Piper Reese. Let us know what you think about this and how it affects you personally. See you soon.
Yay!
Break time. We'll have mac and cheese. We'll shoot. Then we'll go get Denny's.
What the heck is wrong with you people?
Adam, stop being unprofessional, please.
I felt myself about to laugh, so I was like, I was gonna do something. Okay. Hey, Ma.
Hey, Ma.
What?
I'm on the TV.
Z-Talk.
I'm on the TV, Ma. Look at me.
Do you guys like
this
the
old
Z-Talk
kid out of
concept?
Brooklyn.
What is
I don't know.
he doing?
Give me a camera. I'll talk
hey,
all
Ma,
day.
and he went, hey, Ma.
Well, I went hey Ma
You're
first.
good.
There's a
Like-
camera proving I went hey Ma first.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying
See?
my accent. I was like, hey, Ma, I'm on TV.
You didn't say the
I
TV.
don't know
Are
what
you
that
trying?
accent is.
That's like
See,
New
I think
York,
we
but
both
not
couldn't do
really.
an
I'm
accent.
gonna do like
We
a,
both
you know,
couldn't do
like
the
a
accent.
New York
We're not cool.
accent.
This is the next
You're
topic
literally
for
not
next week.
cool.
Accents and dialects.